Let us continue with the mouse and his child. "What's the problem you need help with?" said Muskrat. "Self-winding," said the father. "No need to shout," said Muskrat. "Yes, that seems fair enough. You and your pacing, while lacking something in style, is none the less steady. Let's go to my workroom and get started." They had reached the shore of the pond, and Muskrat took the mouse and child down into the tunnel that led into his underground den. Crystals of frost winked from the frozen walls in the dark passage. Dark, cold, sonic smell of earth pervaded the slanting passage. A faint greenish glow appeared ahead of the doorway of the den. "This is where I do most of my thinking," said Muskrat. "The lodge in the pond is rather too small in the middle of things." He followed the mouse and his child into the room. A little group of Firefly students had lit up when the Muskrat's familiar step was heard in the tunnel. And now they said in unison, "Good morning, sir." Devoted followers who had outstayed the summer, they lived in a glass jar in the corner, and their dormitory cast pale and blinking glow on the clutter all around them. An oil can and a ball of string lay among the mussel shells, and the forgotten nibble ends of rootstocks beside a small terrestrial pencil sharpener globe. A Bonzo dog food can stood filled with salvage from the bottom of the pond. Rusty beer can openers, hairpins, fish hooks, corroded cotter pins, tangles of wire, drowned flashlight batteries, a jackknife with a broken blade, and part of a folding ruler. Near it sprawled improvisations of discolored pipe cleaners, tobacco tins, old fishing license badges, draggled wet, and dry fly leathers, coils of catgut, jointed lures that bristled with hooks and staring eyes, all the neglected apparatus of past experiments in applied thought. Again, the wall leaned on a bit of broken slate with X's and Y's and Z's scrawled on it. The air was still warm and the odor studious and strong. Muskrat rubbed his paws together, hummed a little tune, heaved everything anyhow into the center of the den, and smoothed a circle track around the floor. "Now then," he said, and winding up the father, he started the mouse and his child on their rounds. The curved walls of the den kept them in track. The child's good luck coin gleamed in the pale light of the fireflies as it chinked against the drum. The glass-bead eyes of father and son caught the glow as, now seen, lost behind the jumble. They circled steadily around the Muskrat while he pondered. "We're going in circles again, Papa," said the child, "but this time it's going to get us somewhere." "Yes," said the father, "things seem to be looking up, and Manny Rat will certainly have lost our trail by now. I'm beginning to think that Frog may be wrong about the enemy waiting for us at the end." "Foreshadowing. And maybe Uncle Frog wasn't killed by the horned owl," said the child. "Maybe he'd find us again. He's very wise." "Wise or not, I don't think anyone returns from the horned owl's talons," said the father sadly. "I beg your pardon," said Muskrat, "but I must ask you to be quiet. Absolute silence is essential to much and little thinking." The mouse and the child said no more but paced in silence. "First," said Muskrat, "we must define the problem. This is how you begin." "Hear him," said the senior fireflies as the junior ones made mental notes. Muskrat sounded his haunches rocking slightly, his whiskers quivers with intensity of thought, which he interrupted only when it was necessary to wind up the mouse father. "The problem," he said, "is to do something. Something big, something resultful, something, in short, that will make both a crash and a splash and show the whole pond how truly much is meant by muskrats, much and little." "Why times how equals what?" blurted one of the smaller fireflies, on the chance that an oral examination was taking place. "Quiet," said the elders, and quenched his light. "Now," continued Muskrat, "what's so big and crashful and splashful? Trunk bonk, the felling of a tree. Suppose we say then that the problem is to fell a tree. He's usually mile-high flat for something more than the firefly's feeble light." "A big tree," he said. "To fell a tree," repeated the mouse father as he paced. "Hush," said Muskrat. "Now who fells trees?" "Beavers. How do beavers fell trees?" He clicked his teeth. "Teeth," said the mouse child. "Do be quiet," said Muskrat. "Teeth is right. The teeth of beavers are the proper size, shape, and sharpness for cutting down trees. Mine are not, but theirs are. When a beaver gnaws at a tree for a period of time, that tree will fall." He picked up the withered brown arrowhead stalk and chewed it reflectively. "So we may now reduce the statement to the following much and little." "Pay attention," said the senior fireflies, growing brighter. "Beaver plus teeth times gnaw times time times tree equals tree fall," said Muskrat. "Bravo!" the mouse father cried out involuntarily. "Thank you," said Muskrat. "That's first-rate pacing, by the way." He drew himself up and launched himself anew upon his thoughts. "Now let us disassociate the tooth from the beaver," he said. "How his mind soars!" exclaimed the fireflies all together, and intensified their lights so the glass eye of the fish lures blazed up in the gloom, staring in wild surprise. "You've got to be able to make those darling leaps you're discussing now." But you've got to be able to make those daring leaps, or you're nowhere," said Muskrat. "Where was I?" "Disassociate the tooth from the beaver," said the mouse child. "Father." "Yes," said Muskrat, "and considered simply is any tooth of the proper kind, or you might as well say tooth K. Tooth to the power of K. So tooth raised K. "Tooth K," said the mouse child. "Tooth K times naught," said the father. "Tooth K times naught times tree equals tree fall," said Muskrat. "Wait! It's coming to me now." The fireflies had dimmed a little. They now kindled up again. "I've got it!" shouted Muskrat. "What?" said the mouse and his child together. "X," said Muskrat. X. The fireflies abandoned all reserve and flashed such light that the muskrat's shadow loomed up huge and black among the wall behind it. "He's done it," said the father to his child. "He's made that leap." "X," said the muskrat, dancing about with a steppity hop and bumping into things with every step. "It needn't be a tooth at all. Anything with a proper K, which is to say size, shape, and sharpness, will do it." He limped to the broken piece of slate and hastily rubbed it clean with his paw, wrote XT equals TF. Then he sat back, rocking his haunches. "X times tree equals tree fall," he said huskily and crooned beneath his little song of triumph. "Ah," said the fireflies. They blazed up once more altogether and sank back, exhausted, to a pale glimmer. The room grew dim and dark. "I dare say he just invented algebra." "Tremendous," said the mouse father. "Simply tremendous." "Well, we've solved the problem," said Muskrat, "and I tell you frankly I couldn't have done it without you. Steady pacing is what does the trick." "Thank you," said Mouse father. "Now you can go to the problem of self-winding." "Yes, indeed," said Muskrat. "As soon as we've felled that tree. There's little to it. I'm sure once you get the X, I'm off to find one now." "What will the X be?" asked the mouse child. "I don't know," said Muskrat, "but I'll know when I see it." And he was out of the den, into the tunnel, and gone with a step-step hop. Step-step hop. The muskrat was away for several days. The fireflies, out of courtesy, kept going at half strength the whole time, while the mouse and his child, unwound, stared at the much and little on the dim slate and smelled the darkness of the earth. When they heard the muskrat's footsteps in the tunnel on the day of his return, the sound was new and different. Scuff, scuff, slide hop, scuff, scuff, slide hop. At length Muskrat came into the den and flung down an axe, the handle of which had been broken off short. "Here it is," he said, "X. I found it at a them place, and I must say I don't care for the smell of it. Besides, which is a great deal bigger than I'd like it to be." He limped around the axe, looking at it uneasily. "Well, why not?" he said. "Once you accept X, the size doesn't really matter. Now then, to work. Our objective is, our goal is, to fell a tree," said the mouse father. "Exactly," said the muskrat. "You have a head for detail. I admire that. Now to begin. For applied thought you need a string," he said. After finding a ball of string where it lay in the clutter, he took his axe and the mouse and his child out through the tunnel and up to the strand of birch and aspen trees beside the pond, where the beavers had been working earlier that year. Gnarled and pointed stumps stood everywhere, casting their full loped-off shadows in the snow among the full-length shadows of the bare trees all around them. Muskrat's breath made little clouds in the clear, cold air as he limped about, blinking in the sunlight while he considered where his project should be sited. High above them flew the blue jay on his journalistic rounds, pausing to sail for a moment, on motionless wings so sharply dark against the blue sky that an edge of white showed all around them. The mouse and his child stood still on the white snow. The keen wind whistled through their tin and hummed in the father's unwound spring. The muskrat looked solidly planted on the earth, thinking hard as he looked with admiration at the tooth marks on the stump. "Those beavers may not have intellect," he said, "but they've got method." He began to fuss with sticks and stones, muttering to himself. "Will it take long?" asked the mouse father. "Not very long as these things go," said Muskrat. Having found a short, thick branch that had fallen during the storm, he was seated astride it, laboriously planing it flat with a heavy axe head. "Now," he said, panting from the efforts and puffing out the little clouds of misty breath, "the up and down is ready, and we attach the X." He had split the end of the stubby plank he had fashioned, and now he had wedged the short length of broken axe into the split so that the cutting edge of the axe was right at angles to the plank. Muskrat looked up at the tree he had chosen, an aspen not far from the edge of the pond. There we go, stopping it before it rings. And because the cutting edge. Oh, let's go. The tree was 2 feet. Muskrat looked at the tree he had chosen, an aspen not far from the edge of the pond. The tree was 2 feet thick, and grey trunk towered 60 feet up into the clear sky. He had the little plank with his axe head and balanced it on a seesaw on a rock, so that the cutting edge rested against the tree. When he had tied a stone to one end of the plank to weigh the axe head, and another heavier stone at the other end for a counterweight. Now, when Muskrat touched the plank, the axe head lifted, and when he let it go, it came down and he bit into the tree with a satisfying chunk. There, he said, it just goes up and down like that until it gnaws down the tree. What will make the axe go up and down? Asked the Mousetrap. You will, said Muskrat. I must say that I envy you your part in this. He tied a long piece of string to the end of the plank, and then led the string under a forked twig that he stuck in the snow like an upside-down Y. He tied the free end of the string to the Mouse Father's arm, and he scooped out an oval track in the snow for the Mouse and his child to walk in. Are you ready? Said Muskrat. Yes, said Father and Son together. Muskrat rounded up the father, and the mouse and his child walked around the oval track in the snow. The forked twig acted as a pulley for the string, and they walked away from the tree, the plank tilted to lift the axe. As they walked back towards the tree, the axe fell with a chunk. Well, said Muskrat, why times how will in time equal what? There we are, that's it. How long will it take to fell the tree? Asked Mousechild, backing around the oval as his father pushed him. Let me see. This is late winter, and the tree is about 13 X's around the trunk. Trunk. Once around the track equals once up and one down equals chunk. His voice trailed off to a low mumble as he calculated. We'll get it done by late spring, he said. Easily. Late spring, said the father. How does it take the beavers that long? No, said Muskrat, but of course they have the tools, you see, but we must use makeshifts. What a long time to walk in the circle, said the Mousechild. It's an oval, said the Muskrat. Don't think of walking, think of the crash, think of the splash, think of everything widening ripples. The mouse and his child walked steadily around the oval while the axe rose and fell, its blade biting into the tree with a chunk that sent echoes ringing across the pond. As they walked, the Muskrat moved the plank and the rock closer to the tree so that the axe progressively bit deeper. When the cut was well started, he moved the whole apparatus around to a new part of the trunk. Then he made a new oval track in the snow for the mouse and his child. Do you suppose, the father asked Muskrat, that while we walk about, you can begin to think about self-winding? Ah, said Muskrat, that's not pure thought, you know. That requires some tinkering. I can't consider the hows and whats of your clockwork without taking you apart. And I can't take you apart until we've finished our work here. In the late spring, said the father. That's right, said Muskrat, but the time always passes quickly on an exciting project like this. It'll be done before you know it. Alright, that was beyond 10 minutes. I think I'm just really enjoying this story, but we're alternating, so we'll get some more poetry tomorrow. So, sweetheart, I love you. Sleep well, keep calm, find a llama. Or carry on. And I will talk to you very soon. I'll be home in 32 by tonight, 32 days. I love you, Christine. Good night.